All weekend, the narrative had been set. McLaren, with the fastest car, held the advantage. Lando Norris, leading the championship by 12 points, had topped the practice sessions. The script for the 2025 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix seemed written. A McLaren front-row lockout, allowing them to control the race and cruise to a historic first driver's title since 2008. But in the final decisive moments of qualifying, under the immense pressure of a championship showdown, Max Verstappen delivered a performance of such dominance and authority that it ripped that script to shreds. In the space of 2 blistering laps, the reigning 4-time world champion dropped a bombshell on McLaren's aspirations, seizing a stunning pole position and reminding everyone that in a title fight, you can never ever count out a champion. It was a statement of intent. It was a psychological blow landed with the force of a sledgehammer. Throughout the weekend, McLaren had looked comfortable, their car seemingly in a class of its own around the Yas Marina circuit. Norris and his teammate Oscar Piastri were consistently at the top of the timesheets, while Verstappen and Red Bull appeared to be on the back foot. But, as has so often been the case in his career when the pressure was at its most intense, Verstappen found another level. He did not just beat the McLarens, he dominated them. His final margin of 0.2 of a second was a chasm in Formula One terms. A clear and undeniable declaration of superiority when it mattered most. Verstappen's performance was a masterclass in strategy, execution, and raw speed. While McLaren had used up their tires progressing through the earlier qualifying sessions, Red Bull had played a strategic game, preserving a fresh set of soft tires for the final Q3 shootout. It was a gamble that paid off handsomely, and it was executed with clinical precision. On his first flying lap, aided by a perfectly executed tow from his teammate Yuki Tsunoda up the back straight, Verstappen laid down a marker that would have been good enough for pole on its own. The McLarens, running on tires that had already been used in Q2, simply had no response to that level of performance. The message was clear: catch me if you can. And the brutal reality was they could not. The McLaren drivers on their used tires simply had no answer. On their final runs with fresh rubber, they both improved. Norris, under immense pressure, produced a stellar lap to leapfrog his teammate and secure a crucial front-row start. The margin between the two McLarens was a mere 0.03 of a second, with Piastri agonizingly close to splitting the front row. For the Australian, it was another moment of frustration in a season where he has often played second fiddle to his teammates' title ambitions. Verstappen, with the luxury of a banker lap already in his pocket, went even faster, finding another 0.1 of a second to cement his position at the front of the grid. It was a display of a driver at the absolute peak of his powers, a champion who thrives in the heat of battle and revels in the role of the spoiler. Both of Verstappen's Q3 laps would have been good enough for pole position, a fact that underlines just how dominant his performance truly was. For McLaren, this was the nightmare scenario. Pole position was not just a desire, it was a necessity. A front-row lockout would have allowed them to dictate the terms of the race, to control the pace, and to protect Norris from the chaos of the midfield. It would have given them the strategic flexibility to manage the race on their terms, to ensure that Norris secured the points he needed without drama. Now they find themselves on the defensive, forced to react rather than dictate. Norris, starting from second, is in a strong position, but he is no longer in control. He will have Verstappen, a driver with nothing to lose and everything to gain, breathing down his neck into the first corner. The Dutchman now has the power to control the pace of the race, to potentially back Norris and Piastri into the chasing pack behind them, and to create the kind of unpredictable, chaotic race that McLaren desperately wanted to avoid. It is a tactical nightmare, and it is one that Verstappen has engineered with ruthless efficiency. The reaction from the drivers told the story. Verstappen, cool and composed, was a picture of satisfaction. "We found a bit more lap time, and I am incredibly happy to be in first," he said with a calm confidence. "That is the only thing we can do. We can control to maximize what we have." It was the response of a driver who had done everything within his power, who had executed his plan to perfection, and who now held all the cards going into the race. For Norris, there was a sense of resignation, a quiet disappointment that his best was not good enough. "It is tough. Max did a good job, so congrats to him," he admitted. "We did everything we could. I think my lap was pretty good. I was pretty happy, of course, disappointed to not be on pole for the final weekend, but we were just not fast enough today. The words were gracious, but they carried the weight of a driver who knew that a golden opportunity had slipped through his fingers. The tone was measured, but beneath it, you could sense the anxiety of a man who now faces the most nerve-wracking race of his life. This qualifying result has completely reset the championship battle. The 12-point advantage that seemed like a comfortable cushion for Norris now feels perilously thin. To guarantee the title, he must finish in the top 3. But with Verstappen in front and the likes of George Russell and Charles Leclerc lurking behind, that is far from a foregone conclusion. The pressure has been ramped up to an almost unbearable level. Every decision, every pit stop, every on-track battle will be fraught with danger. The margin for error is now 0. One mistake, one moment of hesitation, and the dream of a first world title could evaporate in an instant. For Verstappen, the mathematics are simple. Win the race and hope Norris finishes 4th or lower. It is a long shot, but it is a shot that is now very much alive, and it is a shot that he has given himself by delivering when McLaren expected him to falter. Verstappen's pole position is a testament to the champion's mindset. It is a reminder that in Formula One, it is not just about having the fastest car. It is about delivering when it counts. It is about having the mental fortitude to execute under pressure, to find that extra tenth when everything is on the line. While McLaren may have had the faster car on paper, Verstappen had the champion's edge. He has been in this position before. He knows what it takes to win a world title, and he knows how to play the game. This season has been a masterclass in resilience from the Dutchman. He has clawed back a deficit that at one point seemed insurmountable, winning races when he needed to and capitalizing on every McLaren mistake. Now, with one final roll of the dice, he has put himself in the best possible position to complete one of the greatest comebacks in Formula One history. It is a performance that has sent a shiver down the spine of everyone at McLaren, and it is a performance that has set up a finale for the ages. The final race of the 2025 season was already set to be a thriller, but Verstappen's qualifying bombshell has elevated it to another level. The stage is set for an epic showdown. A battle of wits, skill, and nerve between a young pretender desperate to claim his first crown and a reigning champion determined to prove that he is still the king. The script has been torn up, and a new one is being written in real time. And as the lights go out in Abu Dhabi, the only certainty is that we are in for a race that will be remembered for years to come.